Hello everybody, today's episode is all about my plans to create a working from home wardrobe that brings me as much joy as the rest of my wardrobe. I'm going to take you on a journey of selecting patterns and fabrics. Part 2, which will follow in a week's time, will show you the results. Let's get started. Well everybody, welcome to another episode of Sequin Girly Creates. Welcome back if you're an existing subscriber, and hello if you're new. I can guarantee that there'll be plenty of colour, hacking and inspiration while you're here. Today's episode is going to contain me in various outfits as I share with you my plans and also talk through patterns I've got that I can hack to help create my working from home wardrobe, and I'll also share with you shopping from my stash. So I'm going to hand over to another version of me now to start talking this through with you, and don't forget to come back in a week's time when I share with you the results of how I've done. I often now work from home 3 days a week, and that's a big change for me from just over a year ago when I was a head teacher and before that a teacher, and so I needed outfits to put on every morning to go out to my job, forward facing with customers, as you like to say, with children and parents and governors and all of those people. So I had a very sort of a wardrobe tailored to that. It was easy for me to grab things that I felt smart in, some days that I felt extra jolly in, some days where you just got like that blow or that feeling where you just want to be snuggly but I still look smart. So to transition my wardrobe from that to where I'm now, where I am now, has been quite a huge change actually, because it was tricky. A lot of the things in my wardrobe weren't getting worn, a lot of the things weren't suiting me. So what I was ending up doing was getting up in the morning, particularly in the winter, feeling chilly, putting my dressing gown and my pyjamas on. I don't wear pyjamas in bed. And then staying in them because it was too chilly to get dressed. I was comfy, I liked what I was wearing, and I was having to change my pyjamas very regularly, because although I wasn't wearing them at night, I was wearing them during the day. Sometimes I'd put underwear on and I'd just stay in them. And I didn't want that, because it meant that I was then not leaving the house even when I needed to, because I didn't want to get out of my pyjamas. I felt a bit odd answering the door, and also I just stayed in that sort of slump of working but not moving my body, because pyjamas and dressing gowns create a certain mindset for us, don't they? And you know what, we need that, but we also need the other bit too. So I was chatting away to Jess, and if you don't know, Jess and I run a podcast called So What's New in the Biscuit Tin, which I'll link below as well. And as part of chatting about that, we both realised that our wardrobes needed a revamp to suit the life that we had right now, not the life that we had before. Okay, so here I'm talking about the fact that the lovely Jess from So What If I Sews and I were going to do a collaboration for this. You are going to hear me talking about Jess's plans. I'm sure she's going to do them another time. Just unfortunately she can't do them at the moment because life got in the way. What I spoke about was the fact that we need to do this and how are we going to structure this. And then Jess said that one of her mate nines is a perfect pattern for this, and I was like, okay, show me it. So I'm going to put a picture in here. It's a Vicky Sews pattern that Jess was inspired by when she saw it on someone else's Instagram page. I'll try and put that up there if I can find it. And I looked at the pattern that Jess showed me, because there was the option for me to sew the same pattern in my own way, which would have been different, and I immediately went, that's like the Donny shirt neck, and that's like a vintage pattern I've got. And Jess smiled at me and said, that is exactly you, so please do this in your way and I'll do it in mine. So what I'm going to do is use, and I'll put it here again, the inspiration for what is a perfect working from home dress, because if it's super chilly you could stick leggings or tights underneath, but if not so chilly, just stick a pair of socks on, and then you could stick a chunky boot on to go out in. And in episode 2 of this I will show you how I style my finished one up, and I'm sure Jess will too. But what it means is, particularly for me, if I don't want anything around my tummy, I don't need to, because it's straight down, but I can also part on a roll neck, etc., and so on. So it's a super versatile, and what we've set ourselves is the expectation that we will wear it out of the house too, because we don't want something that is only for housewear. We want to be able to wear it out, either just to nip out, supermarket, whatever, or travelling in the car or a train or something, and still feeling good enough to do that. So I looked at this pattern and I looked at the neckline, and I remembered that I had found on one of my many charity shop jaunts this pattern here. And this is a Butterick pattern 3011, and it says this pattern size for moderate stretch knits only. Now that's interesting, isn't it, that they've sized it for the stretch knits. You know, if you've watched me before, that I love to know the age of these patterns. I don't think this is when I'm going to get it from, but looking at that design, that is 1980s, and looking at the age of the packet, etc. as well. The great news is that whoever bought this actually never used it. This is when Butterick's was in the UK in Hants, and it says printed in England, so that also tells you something about the age. So here we go inside, and look at the font as well. Never opened or cut. How brilliant is that? So if we look at the pattern, if we look at the line drawings on the back, obviously we want the long sleeve one because of the vision. We can see it's got splits at the side, which is very much like the pattern, and we've got this sort of polo type collar, which is not quite the same but similar to what Jess has seen. Now this pattern actually has a little buttoned placket here like a polo shirt. The Donny shirt doesn't have that, so that's a consideration as well. I'll just put a picture of that here, is to use the Donny shirt pattern for the top. But what we don't want to do is create a lot of bulk if we're using a thick knit. So I've been thinking about that as well, because I think Jess is probably going to use a slightly thinner knit, looking at the inspiration one. So I'm just having a look at the pattern pieces here. So we've got front, back, sleeve, then we've got collar, and then we've got a band bit inside, and the back facing and pocket. I'm not going to sew a pocket at the top. I don't want that. That would be annoying for me. But it has got pockets lower down. So if we look again at the picture, it's got a pocket here. That's a yes, as long as it doesn't create too much bulk. So I think we do want the split, maybe not as long. We might want to lengthen the dress, but it depends on how tall this person is designed for. It says a loose fitting dress, 4 inches below mid-knee. Oh, well, that's perfect, isn't it? With or without a side slit hem, contrast pointed collar and front button opening, side seam pocket, and full length straight sleeves or short sleeve top stitch trim. So this is a definite option. I am thinking that if I did a thicker knit for the main body, I could use like ribbing to create the collar, which would mean it wasn't so bulky, and it would also create contrast. Obviously I've got the Donny shirt as well, so between those two I'm going to play around, because I want to prove that I don't need to buy anything else to make this. Now, thinking about fabrics I've got, one of the ones I thought about doing it in was this one, because I thought then if I did the black collar or this sage green collar, it would create nice interest with sort of the plain bit here and then the body, and then you could do the cuffing in the plain as well. I know the pattern doesn't have a cuff, it's got top stitching, but I could easily do a cuff. You could even think about then whether you do the insert of the pocket in the rib knit, because then you wouldn't have to worry about the bulk of this, and it saves the gorgeous fabric from the outside. The other fabric I have thought about doing it is in a cable knit. I'll put a picture in of cable knit here. But if I did that, I would definitely want to do the collar in the rib knit, because the cable knit would create far too much bulk, I think. There could be a little trial here with a rib knit or two to trial out the kind of collar I want. This is not something I've done before, so if you do know any great tutorials or any information like that, please comment below. So let's have a look at this fabric. I bought this from Pound Fabric. It's like a sort of a knit it's got some good stretch to it. So I looked at this and I thought this would be perfect for this work from home challenge. So what I'm wearing is part of this sort of journey. This is a Marlowe cardigan that I created. I put rib knit on the sleeves, and this is a cable knit fabric that I got from First for Fabrics, and I made the longer length. I'll put a picture in here. And I grabbed this one. I want something and I want a bit of brightness on a grey day. So I looked at this fabric and I thought, what can I do? I was deeply inspired by the lovely Sarah Stitch Style. I'll link her below, and how she has taken some patterns and extended them down to make longer length dresses. So I think this would be perfect to take the Tilly and the Buttons Stella jumper and to lengthen it further down. So I'm going to show you some of these patterns that I've made as jumpers before, and that's the great thing, is I know they work as a jumper and a fit on the top half of my body, so it's just extending it down. Most of what I'm going to sew on my overlocker, because I'm sewing with stretch jersey or knit or interlock or any of those, so that my overlocker is perfect. If you're still a bit scared to use your overlocker, I'll put a card in here and link below to a vlog I made in January about giving you the sort of information you need to get started and to love using your overlocker too. One of the things that has come up through the podcast that Jess and I do is a lot of people say there's not great jersey fabrics, they're all very kiddie fabrics out there. So in that video I also show you some great fabrics, and I'm going to show you some in this as well. So I'm going to keep championing the fact that, like this isn't a kiddie fabric. This I would happily wear as a fabric to work. Imagine this with this cardigan over the top. Yeah. So if you're thinking, how do I get colour in? Start with a base that's like sort of monochrome, and then it's easy to add a colour or a little pop of colour like this. These earrings are by the lovely Tanya of Just Let Me Sew. She runs a little shop, and there they are, so you can see them. And this is a great way to get a pop of colour in too. So if I tick this off, you can just get that pop there like that. So I think this is going to make a great jumper dress, this fabric. And I think that what I'm also going to do is not have a higher neck, because although I like a higher neck in this weather, I'm actually going to make an infinity scarf so that it can look like I've got a higher neck, but then when the weather warms up a bit I can take that off, and then I've just got this sort of neck, because then I can wear it into the spring. And that's a really important part of what Jess and I want to create, is clothes that will get us through hopefully at least a half, if not 2/3 of the year, because we need to make this wardrobe that we're now creating work for us. Because I used to have a wardrobe that worked for me, but I don't go out to work every day in a school or anything like I used to, and so I need something that brings me joy and comfort and that I will put on, because that's part of the challenge here, is putting it on and not staying in my pyjamas or the same outfit every day. So this is number one. What I'm going to do now is go off camera. I'm going to sort through my stash with you, because I organise it by different types, so it'll be easy to talk through a few of them and to look at some patterns that I think I could extend. And then next week you can find out how I did. So what you saw just now was me sorting through this delicious collection of sort of ponte, sweatshirting, French terries, etc. that I've got. And what I'm looking at is I think these two would go well together. So what I'm keen to do is, if I've not got something that can be long enough for a dress, if I make like a yoke, etc. out of this, I think that could make a super snuggly combo. I want to make a dress out of this, I think, maybe, or some trousers, not 100% sure, and that goes well with that. These two go together. Often I've bought remnants, like that's a remnant, that's a remnant, that's a remnant. This is left over from a project. That's a remnant. I think it works really well with that. Even if it's like the cuffs and that's the main body, I think they work well together. Now I've got this amazing collection of cable knits that I need to think about how I put them together. I'm really thinking that purple and that mustard work beautifully together. And then I've got that there. These two down here work well together. That was a remnant and I think that goes beautifully with it. And then I've got this ponte as well. So everyone, I'm pretty determined to not buy any more patterns to help me make my work from home wardrobe. I've just spotted another basket of patterns. Bear with while I just search through here. I'm back again now. So I've searched through all the fabric patterns I've got. So let's talk through some ideas. So the Agnes, although it's made for a thinner jersey, when you look at this, I'm pretty sure, because it's nicely shaped, if you made a size up than your usual size, it's less fitted, and just drew that line down, you could even adjust the scoop slightly. It doesn't look that low, but you could adjust it slightly. That, because you've got the long sleeve as well, could definitely be made into a long dress. So if you've got the Agnes top, I'm telling the buttons. This I definitely want to make like a no collar, like that one, out of like the knitted fabric, because that's an extra warm layer. I found I had this pattern. I know it's men's, but you just make a small. That's quite an interesting top there, isn't it? Imagine that extended into a dress. So if we look on the back at the pattern, this one here, so you've got the nice panels. So when I'm trying to use up fabric, you could do the panels. If we look at the picture here of him in it, the panels in a different fabric, and then you could have that cowl neck as well. I'll put all the details of these in below. Then this, I was thinking you could do that. That would be a super snuggly cardigan. I got this in a charity shop for £3, but that one's great as well. But working out if I could like double across the front, but I don't think you can because of that neck. And then there's a free pattern, which I will put a picture in of the Bailey puff sleeve sweatshirt. I'm pretty sure you could extend that into a dress. Then there's the Naya t-shirt by Tammy Handmade. That could make a great long sleeve dress, and I will share with you the practice I've made in a t-shirt. This is the Chalk and Notch Max Tee, which again I think we could extend. Marlowe cardigan just for the snuggly outer layer. And then I've got the Closet Core Mylan sweatshirt. Trying to think, that could be the hardest one to extend because of the wraparound, so that's probably one I wouldn't use. But if we look in the Tilly and the Buttons book, you could, if we look at this, the Frankie Baseball t-shirt, again, if you did it in a size up, that, because it allows you to do the really interesting colour up to there, could easily be extended. But there is the BB skirt, which here she's shown how to make into a pinafore dress. So that would be interesting in a snuggly fabric. Obviously we've got the Stella here. So the Stella, I think we could easily extend. I'm not doing the Joni dress. What's that down there? See, what's that? Is that a Stella extended into a dress? Let's have a look. The Joni Stella hoodie dress, page 151. There, look at that. Extending it. You wouldn't have to put the hood on if you didn't want to. Extending the whole thing down, and you could go longer as well. Let's see if there's a picture of it. There, look, you could easily go past the knee, but you've got shape at the waist. You could even put the pouch on and just extend it to the length that works for you. You could put the hood on. I quite like the hood. This is a great fabric, isn't it? Because that's exactly what we're looking for, is snuggly, comfy, but feel like you could go out in the world in it. And then you've got, that is far too fancy. So what I would say is, from having my big search, I've definitely got patterns, and I've got the tin in the buttons Billy. I don't know where I put that. That's weird. That could easily be extended. I'm wearing a Stella jumper right now, so that could easily go down, and I've got a detachable infinity scarf on. So I think that I've got some good options here, some great patterns, so don't need to buy any more. I bet if you've got like the Jarrah or the Toaster, or what's the one by the Monroe, that's a free one, isn't it? I bet you could find something in your wardrobe to extend. Well, I hope you enjoyed looking through what I had, and you've got some ideas too. I would love to hear below which ones you think I should do and any suggestions you've got, because I'm going to be busy, ready to share with you next week what I've actually done. Catch you in a week.